أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Today inshallah we'll discuss the theme from Surah Al-A'raf, the heights. That's chapter 7 in the Quran. Now Surah Al-A'raf was revealed in Mecca, and it was revealed around the time that the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba were going to take Islam and spread it, to the masses. So the main theme of the surah, the surah is talking about the eternal struggle between haqq and falsehood, between the truth and falsehood. Because this battle is from the creation of Adam until the last day. It happens every day, it happens always. There is always a fight between good and evil. It's a daily struggle. Now, during the struggle, some people tend to be negative. They sit on the sideline. It's not my business. It's not my problem. They don't want to contribute. You have the truth and you have falsehood. You have to be in the camp of the truth. You cannot sit on the sidelines and not support the truth. So the surah is addressing this slice of the community that tend to be negative, that they don't want to do anything. They feel helpless. They feel that nothing they do is going to help. It doesn't matter. That type of attitude, that negativity, is very bad for any community and for any society. And the surah addresses this particular feeling, and it says, be decisive, be on the side of the truth, no matter what's happening. Do not be on the sideline. So, we'll start, inshallah, seeing some of the evidences from the surah to support that theme. From the first verse, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is saying, كتاب أنزل إليك فلا يكن في صدرك حرج منه لتنذر به وذكرى للمؤمنين. This is a book revealed to you, O Muhammad, so let there not be in your breast distress therefrom. So this guidance that Allah sent is not something that we should be ashamed of or shy from it. When you go and confront non-believers, they may make fun of how the women dress. They may make fun of oh, you praying. You're not supposed to care about that. Allah did not reveal this, Islam, so we can feel, timid or shy of it. No, we have to be proud of it. We have to be proactive. We have to be decisive in implementing its rulings, no matter what others say. That's the main theme that the surah wants to tell us. In verse 3, اتبعوا ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم ولا تتبعوا من دونه أولياء قليلا ما تذكرون. Follow, O mankind, what has been revealed to you from your Lord, and do not follow other than Him any allies. Little do you remember. So be decisive. Spring into action. Do not sit on the sidelines. If there's something, there's always something you can offer Islam, you can offer the community, you can offer the people around you. Nobody is helpless, nobody is worthless. Everybody has something to contribute, no matter how, it could be a lot, it could be a little. You have something to offer, so offer it. So if you look in verse, from verse 11 to verse 22, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala gives us two examples. One from the beginning of creation of man, and it's about the story of Adam and Iblis. When Allah created Adam, ordered the angels to bow down, Iblis said no, he did not want to bow down. And then as the surah continues, Allah casted Iblis out of heaven in verse 18. And in verse 19, Allah addresses Adam and Eve. It says, go live in وَيَا آدَمُ اسْكُنْ أَنْتَ وَزَوْجُكَ الْجَنَّةَ فَكُلَا مِنْ حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ فَتَكُونَا مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Live in heaven and eat from anything you want except that tree. Do not get close to it. But the shaitan in the next in verse 22, فَدَلَّاهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ, he deceived them. He made them eat from the tree. And if you actually look at the word dallahuma, dallahuma is referred, if you think of the Arabic, is like when you're lowering a bucket into a well. It's called dalu. Dallahu, like slowly. He worked on him for a long time. Slowly, got him down and then stopped. And that's what shaitan does with every one of us. He gets you down to the middle of the well. You're not at safety and you're not at the water. You're stuck in the middle in limbo where you cannot do anything. And that's the shaitan's specialty. So this example that Allah is telling us at the beginning of the surah is a model that somebody was not as decisive. They did not obey Allah. They were deceived. So the second example from verse 44, Allah gives us an example from the end of time, from the day of judgment. And it's وَنَادَى أَصْحَابُ الْجَنَّةِ أَصْحَابَ النَّارِ أَنْ قَدْ وَجَدْنَا مَا وَعَدَنَا رَبُّنَا حَقًّا فَهَلْ وَجَدْتُمْ مَا وَعَدَ رَبُّكُمْ حَقًّا قَالُوا نَعَمْ فَأَذَّنَ مُؤَذِّنٌ بَيْنَهُمْ اللَّعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَى الظَّالِمِينَ. In verse 7, in verse 44, and the companions of paradise will call out to the companions of the fire, we have already found what our Lord promised us to be the truth. Have you found what your Lord promised you to be the truth? They will say yes. These are people that were decisive. They're the inhabitants of heaven because they were decisive on this deen. They implemented what they were supposed to do. And then, because in this life there are many shades of gray. I mean, you have black and white and many shades of gray. But on the day of judgments, there's only two options. There's heaven or hell. There is no third option. You either go to heaven or you go to hell. وَلَيَادُ بِاللَّهِ. So, and if you think about the name of the surah, Al-A'raf, the heights, how does that relate to being decisive and being positive and not being negative? If you look at the verses from verse 46, now Al-A'raf is heights on the day of judgment. So there are people on it that they can see the people of heaven and they can see the people of hell. And those people are the negative people that were not here nor there. They were, they did not take a decisive role in their life. So they were in limbo. In their life, they were in limbo. So it's only fitting that in the hereafter, they're in limbo. They don't know if they're going to go to heaven or they're going to go to hell because their hasanat and sayyiat were equal. So the verses say, وَبَيْنَهُمَا حِجَابٌ, between the people of hell and the people of fire is a hijab, is a covering. وَعَلَى الْأَعْرَافِ رِجَالًا يَعْرِفُونَ كُلًّا بِسِيمَاهُمْ. So these people that are on the Araf, they know the truth. They know, they're believers. But they had a lot of shortcomings. They can see the people of heaven, they can see the people of hell. So they called, وَنَادَوْا أَصْحَابَ الْجَنَّةِ أَنْ سَلَامٌ عَلَيْكُمْ لَمْ يَدْخُلُوهَا وَهُمْ يَطْمَعُونَ. So they recognized the people of heaven and they were addressing them. وَإِذَا صُرِفَتْ أَبْصَارُهُمْ تِلْقَاءَ أَصْحَابِ النَّارِ قَالُوا رَبَّنَا لَا تَجْعَلْنَا مَعَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ in 47. And when their eyes are turned towards the companions of the fire, they say, our Lord, do not place us with the wrongdoing people. Now, they are in a very precarious position. I mean, it is one of the worst things if you go through a test and you're waiting for your grades and you're standing in limbo. You don't know, did you succeed? Did you fail? That is a very difficult position in this life. Let alone on the hereafter, you don't know if you're going to have eternal bliss or eternal punishment. Why do you want to stick yourself into that position, by being negative in this life? So we have to be decisive. We have to be on the side of the truth. We have to implement this deen. So Allah, with His mercy, will put us in heaven. So this is, that's why the surah was named Al-A'raf. So the image of these people on the A'raf sitting there not knowing where are we going, and they have no idea where they're going to go. That image needs to stay in our mind, that we have to be decisive so we don't get ourselves into that precarious position. And as you start going through the surah, you see a lot of examples of prophets and how their people fought them, and Allah destroyed the wrongdoers. But for example, لقد أرسلنا نوحا إلى قومه فقال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره إني أخاف عليكم عذاب يوم عظيم. So we sent Nuh to his people, and he told his people, and that's what the message of all of the messengers. اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله. Worship Allah, you have no God but Him. I'm afraid that you're going to suffer a terrible punishment on a tremendous day. That was the same message that was given by all the prophets. So what did his people do? In verse 64, فَكَذَّبُوهُ فَأَنْجَيْنَاهُ وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ. So they denied him, but the interesting thing is Allah says, and we saved him وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ. We saved him and the ones who were with him. These are the positive people. These are not the people that stood on the sidelines and said, not my problem, I'm not going to get involved, I'm just going to mind my own business. This وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ means these people that stood with him in the trenches, they carried the message with him, they fought the unbelievers with him, they were active for their faith. The other ones, there's no mention of them in any of these verses. Same thing with the Prophet Hud, Prophet Salih, Prophet Lut, Prophet Shu'aib alayhim salam. So it's the same theme continues throughout these verses. Then Allah gives us an example of people who were decisive. He gives us the story of Musa and the magicians. So because all the stories in the surah, they support the theme of the surah. So the story of Prophet Musa is repeated in many verses, but in every chapter, it takes on the theme that the chapter is trying to convey. So in this one, it's talking about his confrontation with the magicians when they kind of tried to fake people with their fake snakes, and Prophet Musa threw his staff and it ate all of her stuff. Now the magicians, when they saw the truth, they recognized it because they knew no magician can do what Prophet Musa did. That was not the work of a magician, and they took a decisive action, and they said, we believe in Allah, even as Pharaoh was threatening them to chop off their hands and their legs and to crucify them. They didn't care. They said, this is the truth, we're going to stick to the truth, and we're going to die on the truth. So that is a very good example of people that were very decisive. And then contrast that with the next story of Musa, Prophet Musa alayhi salam, and the children of Israel. When he was telling them, they just crossed the sea, they saw Allah's miracles, and then they saw people worshiping a calf, and they wanted a calf to worship like those idol worshippers. These people were not positive, were not really serious about their faith. But one of the best stories in the surah is the story of the village that was fishing on the Sabbath. Allah tested them. On Saturday, they were not supposed to do anything. They would not fish. The fish will come in big droves. The rest of the week, no fish. So these people decided, we're going to disobey Allah and we're going to go fish on Saturday. In verse 163, وَاسْأَلْهُمْ عَنِ الْقَرْيَةِ الَّتِي كَانَتْ حَاضِرَةَ الْبَحْرِ, to the end of the verse. So when they started doing that, then there was a group of the village were telling them, don't do that. And the negative people were telling them, leave them alone. What do you have? leave them alone. What is it? What's your problem? If they want to disobey Allah, let them disobey Allah. What's your problem? وإذ قالت أمة منهم لما تعظون قوما الله مهلكهم أو معذبهم عذابا شديدا قالوا معذرة إلى ربكم ولعلهم يتقون. And when a community among them, these were positive people, they could not sit there and see evil take hold of the community and not say anything. Why do you advise them or warn a people whom Allah is about to destroy or to punish with a severe punishment? They, the advisors, said, to be absolved before your Lord, and perhaps they may fear him. We have to do our job. The results are up to Allah. All we have to do is put the effort. You may give an opinion. You may say, why do you want to, support the schools with gambling and with alcohol? You shouldn't do that. Now, whether they do it or not, that's a second. But you have to voice your concern. You have to voice what's right, and not just sit there and say, no, it's not my business. Now, when you look at verse 165, فَلَمَّا نَسُوا مَا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ أَنْجَيْنَا الَّذِينَ يَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ السُّوءِ وَأَخَذْنَا الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا بِعَذَابٍ بَئِيسٍ بِمَا كَانُوا يَفْسُقُونَ. And then when they forgot by that by which they had been reminded, that means the people that kept fishing on the Saturday, Allah destroyed them. And He saved the ones that were, advising them not to do that. Now, if you look in the verse, where are the negative people? Where are the people? The ones that were fishing were destroyed. And the ones that were warning were saved. What about the third group that was just sitting there negative? Now, the commentators had two explanations. One is they were destroyed with the wrongdoers because they did not take a decisive action. And the second one is because they were negative, they didn't deserve to be mentioned. So neither option is good. Whether Allah ignores you or destroys you, that's bad. You want Allah to honor you, to protect you, and to put you in heaven. So we have to be decisive. So this, heedlessness is one of the worst disease to affect a believer. Because if you're heedless, you have no idea that you're doing anything wrong while you're doing wrong. So you're just asleep. You're asleep going through life, not paying attention, not doing what you're supposed to do. We were not created to live on this earth and be negative or be neutral. You have to be on the side of the truth. People don't like it tough. You have to be on the side of the truth because you're doing Allah's work. If they don't like it, they don't like it. You're Allah's servant. You work for Allah. You don't work for people. Who cares what they say? So that's what we're supposed to do. And then if you look at the last verse in the surah, إن الذين عند ربك لا يستكبرون عن عبادته ويسبحونه وله يسجدون. Indeed, those who are near your Lord are not prevented by arrogance from His worship, and they exalt Him, and to Him they prostrate. Now, and this verse, the last verse, there's a sajda. You make prostration. And perhaps this prostration is a signal from Allah. Be decisive. Be decisive in your faith. Bow down to Allah and make prostration and obey Him. So, this surah tries to keep the image of the people on the A'raf, on the heights, in our mind. That means if you do not speak up and be on the side of truth, you may be with those people, and that is a precarious position that we do not ever want to be in. Now, there's many hadith that says Allah eventually admits them to heaven, but why do you want to put yourself in that position? You want to go to Jannah without hisab, let alone be asked, let alone sit there and wait, not knowing what's going to happen. So, اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما، وارنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه، وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه، واجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فاتبعون احسنه، وادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك، اشهد ان لا اله الا انت، استغفرك واتوب اليك. السلام عليكم ورحمه الله.